On this tour, we will be taking you around to our various partners in the charging kind of ecosystem, if you will. You will hopefully get to learn a lot about, some of the different players in the industry, get to connect with a lot of different vendors, and kind of just see who our partners are and who we work with. So starting out, you are currently at the Mobility House's booth. We are the host of this tour. I lead our transit business line. My name is Dana Wasley, and my background is actually in transit planning. So I work with all of our transit customers on, helping them figure out, the best solutions for their fleet and, working with them as they implement charging infrastructure. So I will be your guide today, and I will be taking you through kind of each booth that we go to. The Mobility House is a charging and energy management provider. So we provide a software system that allows you to manage your charging at your site. Typically, our transit agencies will use our system for either one or a combination of the following three reasons. The first one is to optimize around utility rate structures. So as I'm sure many of you have started thinking about, the cost of fueling your vehicles is now going to be tied to your utility rates, and that may include things like time of use rates and demand charges, which can make the cost of charging your vehicles very costly. And so our software is able to automatically optimize charging around your utility rate structures to help you minimize the cost of refueling your vehicles. The second reason that a lot of agencies are interested in using our software system is for a topic that we like to call automated load management, or ALM. So a lot of agencies, when they start their electrification program, they have, their first 5 chargers, and they typically can install those without having to do a major utility upgrade. However, as you start to scale to 20, 30, 40, or 50 or more chargers, that is a lot of power that you are installing at your site. And typically that's where a lot of our clients see the need to either do a grid upgrade, like, upgrading a transformer or a substation to make sure that they have enough power at their site for all of their chargers. Or they can use a system like ours where then they can actually install more charger nameplate capacity than the grid capacity connection at their site. So one of our clients, Long Beach Transit, has actually done this. And so they currently have 1.8 megawatts of charger nameplate capacity at their site and only 1.1 megawatts of grid capacity at their site. And then finally, the third reason that a lot of our clients are interested, particularly in the transit space, is for optimization around your fleet schedules. I always say it's, of course, great to save money on your utility bill. It's important to work within any grid capacity limitations of your site. But at the end of the day, you need to get your vehicles out and provide service to your communities. And so our system also is able to optimize around your fleet schedules and is able to integrate in with any scheduling, depot management, dispatch systems that you may already be using to be able to provide that service. So yeah, that's a brief overview of what we do here at the Mobility House. I believe Marcus is going to say a few words to you guys. He is our Chief Sales Officer and has come out from Munich, Germany to talk with you all today.
Hello all together, and thank you very much for showing up. It's a pleasure to have you here and that we can serve you with all the information we have for you with our partners. We strongly believe in, especially in such a new and fast growing and unsecure industry where there is a lot of discussion what works, what doesn't work. We strongly believe in partnerships. Therefore, we are doing this tour and introducing you to our partners. We believe in open interfaces. This has to work in the future. We want to scale. We just do not want to have one show-off site. We need to have electrification all over. Therefore, we need to have proper interfaces, proper standards, and proper partners. And a couple of them we show you. Whenever you have any question about anything what happens in Europe or relation, more than welcome to answer you also questions at the end about what you want to know in Europe, where we are in some extent ahead and in some extent behind, because especially in the transit field, school buses we don't have anyhow. You and the US really ahead.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Marcus. So the last thing that I will highlight over here at our booth is that we are both a hardware and software hybrid solution. So over here in this box, you can see our local controller. This is really a part of our system that is unique to what we do here at the Mobility House. So this local controller is here for reliability and resilience purposes. This allows us to continue to optimize your charging even in the event of an internet outage. This will be hardwired to each of your charging cabinets to make sure that we always have a stable and reliable connection to your chargers and are always able to continue to optimize. So yeah, that's a special component of our system and really kind of what makes our system really ideal for the transit use case. I think with that being said, we are ready to head over to our next booth. Okay, so the AlphaStruxure booth is over here. We will have Andre and Maeve from the AlphaStruxure team giving you guys kind of the rundown of everything that they're doing over at AlphaStruxure. As I mentioned before, they're an amazing partner. We're so happy to work with them over at the Brookville site, and they're doing a lot of really exciting work in the industry. I will hand it over to Andre and Maeve.
All right. There's a few different projects that we wanted to talk with you all about today. The first one is our Brookville Microgrid Bus Depot in Montgomery County, Maryland. And so that is what is being constructed on this television behind me. This is a microgrid built for 70 electric buses. It has a 2 megawatt solar array, 1.9 megawatts of natural gas generators that can be converted to run off of biodiesel or hydrogen, as well as a 1.5 megawatt, 4 megawatt hour battery energy storage system. And it also has 4.5 megawatts of charging capacity. We constructed this in around a year. So this is a time-lapse video of the site being constructed in 1 year's time span. And the depot remained fully operational throughout the construction. So it was a 21 sequenced construction project. We like to call it a fine-tuned ballet. And really proud, of the end results. The county was so happy with what we delivered that they said, all right, let's move on to the second depot. And I'll pass the microphone over to Andre to talk about the MTalk site.
Thank you, Maeve. Hi, everyone. So this model, actually, if you want to squeeze it a little bit, represents the second site we're working on with Montgomery County. This is a 250 bus depot. It is going to be a mixed fleet, both EV and hydrogen fuel cell buses. And they're placing a electrolyzer in this corner. That electrolyzer will create green hydrogen. The green comes from the solar electrons we're creating with this 5.6 megawatt solar array. As you can see, we pretty much covered just about every area we could on the site to meet that demand. This project is going to permit soon. We plan to finish it in early 2025. It's about 9 megawatts of in the first phase is the microgrid capacity. We do have the capacity to scale this to 26 megawatts, depending on the mix of vehicles that they take on as they advance the fleet. So it's modularized so that we can grow with them and be very flexible. And it was very important for them to have that flexibility.
What percentage for full islanding? What percentage of the fleet do they want to be able to run, disconnected from the grid from a resiliency standpoint?
At this time, they would only be able to run probably about the 45 EV buses and the 20 hydrogen fuel cell buses off this electrolyzer. Eventually, when we finish all phases, they do want to be 100% resilient at the site, and that might change as we phase this out. The project that Maeve showed you at Brookville is a 100% resilient site, so it can run 100% off grid. They can run their entire fleet of 70 EVs indefinitely with the microgrid that's there.
Yeah, thank you all so much. The next stop that we'll be going to is Cummins. This one is a bit of a walk, so please follow Sam and I to the turn. We'll be turning right after the Siemens booth. So yeah, please get ready to turn left just as we get through this next block here. Up here on the Cummins booth, we'll give everyone a couple minutes to finally make it over here. Your host at the Cummins booth will be Richard, who is an amazing key player in the industry, and he will be giving you everything you need to know about their solution.
Hey guys, welcome to the Cummins booth. If you haven't made your way through and never heard of Cummins before, we were founded by Clessie Cummins in 1919. We're over 100 years old. We started as a diesel manufacturer, and you're like, diesel manufacturer, why is there a traction motor over there, right? So we've grown and expanded our portfolio. We really want to focus on being a powertrain of choice, offering customers solutions for their duty cycles and how they operate. And space today, where we operate only with a lot of our CNG and diesel product today, we're avenuing partners with like Gillig and others into the battery electric, and then foraying further hydrogen production through electrolyzers. One of our newest items that we're bringing in here and working with Mobility House on, and our partnership is around the EV charging aspects. So as you can see here, we have 2 EV chargers, our Mobile 50 and our Flex 180, and we're offering not only powertrain connection, we want to support the entire ecosystem through our aftermarket presence. So in North America and US and Canada, we operate at about 180 brick and mortar branches, another probably about 20 service centers from distribution channels and other items. And we want to be able to provide everybody what they need to ensure the uptime of the product. As I think everybody knows, that the transition or the journey to zero is going to be long and a little difficult in some eyes. So we want to make sure that it's an easy transition. I think you guys, we are partnered with Heliox on this product, this branches, and our distribution channel in North America. So it'll all be backed by Cummins and Cummins dependability. How many of the 180s? Yeah, so out of one charger, you can deploy 3 dispensing options, either pantograph and or plug dispensers to currently, all backed by Mobility House and their wonderful software tool.
And Pat Hayes from ABB will be your host here. So we'll give everyone a couple more minutes to make it over to the booth, and then, I'll let Pat take it away.
All right. Hey, well, thank you for all stopping by. I'm Pat Hayes. I don't know if any of you had experience with ABB or charging, but hopefully as you're learning more about charging technology, there's things to always keep in mind. ABB has been doing charging technology for 14 years, or actually beyond that, but the platforms we've been using has been generated since then. So you always think about different ways to build the charger is to have like an all-in-one unit, meaning that the charger and the dispenser are all in one enclosure, nice simple integration. But you might not have room to put that out in your fleet, to manage your fleet or your bus charging. So what we've always done is built what we call the HVC line, which looks a lot like the charger over there, that charger box. And what that does is that creates the 480 volt, the grid voltage comes in, it converts that to a DC that goes out to a remote outlet, like something like this, that you can put anywhere closer to your vehicle, whether it's in a pedestal, on the wall, maybe up in the ceiling even, where then you don't have take up as much floor space. So, for example, this one here is actually even got 2 outlets on the same remote box. Reason we did that more for the Qatar, the World Cup, there's 1,000 electric bus being electrified there, where we generated having 2 outlets in one remote box. But now it's a lot easier to manage in the field, and you can put the charger back out by the grid somewhere, so it's off the floor, out of the way. Well, what you'll notice in the industry then is now it gets a lot more complex, because maybe you want to start managing more and more outlets on one charger. You get better footprint, you get less space, you get a lot less balance of plant material to go out and build your grid to manage this whole infrastructure. And so what they do then is we've come out with a box that's got up to 360 kilowatt inside. And it can manage up to 4 outlets, whether it's a plug-in, a CCS plug, or a pantograph. So when you manage 4 outlets, there's a couple things. Yeah, and yes, we do have inside the charger cabinet. I think the initial release, it's being released in the U.S. Later this year, and then for Buy America mid next year. And we'll have the hardware all done. Where what we'll do is commission it to point there's 4 charger lineups. So you have a 360 kilowatt, there's 4 90 kilowatt strings inside that thing. And you'd point it to the outlet. So if you have 2 outlets, 3 outlets, 4 outlets, you'd point
and then you commission it. But we have the ability to do a matrix switch inside. And the matrix switch will be where then we'll take an OCPP command to say, look, let's charge that out. Let's put 2 of those 90 kilowatt strings on that outlet to charge that 180 kilowatt now. Or now put all 4 on that outlet so we charge the 360 kilowatt. And it'll have the ability to do that. But that's where it gets a lot more fun and where you want to do a lot more planning with the mobility house, doing some charger management type strategies, managing your fleet in a lot more optimized way. So now it gives you the chance to kind of match up with your strategy when you're trying to think of your fleet and how to electrify. Maybe you have a pantograph and a plug-in on the same charger. Maybe you have a fast lane. Maybe you have where you need to charge a little bit faster with one, or have a slow charging rates. But that gives you the flexibility to do all that types of stuff. But now look at what happens, and that's why even spending time with the mobility house, now that's where charger management starts becoming more and more advantageous, because you have to manage these different outlets to make sure that things are charging when they should charge. So you match up your state of charge of the battery, you know what's coming into the vehicle, you know what has to go out and when it has to go out, and that's why you use charger management to manage these and make it more optimized versus just everyone plugging in at one time and there goes your fuel bill, or your electric bill might go up, and that's your fuel bill now that you're managing. So that's why we kind of all do that. Other changes in the industry that you'll start seeing is this year happens to be an opportunity pantograph. It's a pretty large pantograph. As you can tell, it's usually on a mast arm or something that you can see on the back. So a lot of times it's charging at a very fast rate, but it's also meant to work all day long, to charge your fleet. We call it opportunity charging. What's happening in the industry is they're starting to use this also as depot, where we have a depot pantograph too. It's no pictures here, so you'll have to believe me. It's a little smaller pantograph. It's a little cute little thing if you kind of look at it, but it has the same kind of collector blades on the top, and it's used for that duty cycle where you want to charge overnight and manage that. And that's where even that charger there can manage that type of duty cycle and do that. So you'll start seeing that as if you have a big fleet, or you want to have an automated connection device, you've got that ability to do so. Then the other thing to think of, to close it out, or other things to think of is then how you manage this then is obviously you want to make sure you think of service. And that's a easy way to miss expectations in this industry, because everyone has a different expectation on uptime and what that all means. But together, using charger management and the service technicians, field service, having service level agreements in place, have those discussions early on, because that can help you make sure you meet the uptime requirements that you're looking for. So I would recommend that too. And we love having those conversations, because it can be, that's where it really gets fun.
Next stop that we will be heading towards is New Flyer. So the New Flyer infrastructure team is one of our closest partners over at the Mobility House. We work with them on a lot of turnkey charging infrastructure projects. And actually, we worked with them so much, I think I've lost count on how many projects we've implemented with them. I think it's about 6 or 7 at this point. We worked with them at projects across the country. So everything from St. Louis Metro, Antelope Valley Transit Authority, Knoxville Area Transit, and many, many more that are to come. They are definitely an industry leader in the charging space. Their team is super, super knowledgeable, and they really take on what we like to call the integrator role of a project. So they are really your main point of contact for, kind of figuring out your charging infrastructure, and then they engage all of the different players that is needed to make your charging infrastructure project a success. So that means, everything from design to, construction and installation, as well as coordination with companies like the Mobility House, as well as the charger partners on a project. So, ABB, Heliox, and Cummins as well. So their job is really to make sure that you are set up for success. And as a result, they kind of have a very good understanding and overview of everything that goes into charging infrastructure. So they are a wealth of knowledge in terms of, what it actually takes to put a charging infrastructure project together. Okay, it looks like Manny will actually be giving the presentation here. Manny is another key player at the New Flyer infrastructure team. We've collaborated with him on several projects, and he is a wealth of knowledge on charging infrastructure. So Manny, please take it away.
Hey guys, Manny Torres. I'm part of the project manager management team at the Flyer for infrastructure solutions. Mobility House is a great partner of ours when it comes to charge management, and we've been working with them for over 2 years now. And there's a great collaboration between teams. We've been able to integrate most of our suppliers with charge management system by Mobility House. The development teams over Germany as well as in the US, we have a great collaboration and communication. So the channels are open both ways when it comes to integrating with the bus or the chargers. They do have a ongoing discussions with our Connect 360 team. We're planning to further integrate bus side to Mobility House. So in essence, we'd like to have a one portal for buses and chargers all together under one platform. That's the goal. It's in the works. So hopefully in the next year or so, we should be able to get in the prime time for usage. Thank you.
Yeah, and I think we have a few more minutes. So I guess, Manny, would you mind talking a little bit more about your role in kind of the infrastructure process and what the New Flyer infrastructure team adds to a project?
Yeah, I'll bet. So we have a bid process where we bring the Mobility House into the ecosystem early on. So we identify the needs the agencies may have, early stages. See if the charge management system is something that you guys like to add to the bid, right? Our role within infrastructure is to we go all the way from the turnkey solution to commissioning only, right? So if there is a charge management component to the bid, we talk to Mobility House to see how what they can add value to the proposition. And as we identify the charger manufacturer that you guys like to work with, we ensure that the Mobility House has already been doing the validation with them. And as the process, moves along, then Mobility House will come to site, install their equipment. We do a full commissioning, charger, bus, and charge management system all at once. And so we have a coordination meetings up to the commissioning stage. Prior to the commissioning stage, we do demonstrations to customers virtually so they can see what the tool looks like. And then we do another training once the system is already complete, set up. So the customer has been created accounts to access, and they're able to use the Mobility House as it's intended to.
One other question that I have for you is, since you guys have installed so many sites for charging infrastructure, what's one of the biggest challenges that you've seen from a charging infrastructure perspective that agencies run into?
Challenges as being on the hardware component side of things, mainly switch gears, transformers. With charge management, it's been the early stages of integrating a new system to different suppliers. That was a little challenging at the beginning, but it's been great lately. It's you're learning from as we go. So right now, like I said earlier, the communication with Mobility House, it's superb. So we hope that we continue and we move on to the next development phase.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Manny. We will go ahead and head over to Heliox, which is our next stop over here. And today you will be hearing from Carter, who is their sales engineer and is a wealth of knowledge about Heliox charging.
First off, everybody, my name is Carter Palmy. I am the sales engineer for North America for Heliox. Really what that means is it's a big fancy title to say I help with the pre-sales and sales process, especially when it comes to technical questions for installation, specifications, things of that nature, standard use cases for the units you see here today. Quick background on Heliox. We'll run through our product lineup real quick, and then we'll open the floor up for some questions. So Heliox was founded back in 2009 in the Netherlands. If you're familiar with the area, it's right outside of Eindhoven in Best. Back in about 2014 is when they started doing DC fast charging. They were originally a high-end audio driver manufacturer, and through ways and means have transitioned into creating DC fast charging equipment that you see here today. back in 2019 or so, they really started taking a dedicated approach to the North American market. Won our first project in 2019, started our first charging sequences here in 2020 up in the Chicago area with some on-route charging. Leading from that, we have continued to expand here in North America. We have 2 offices in the Atlanta area. They're right across the street from each other. One is going to be our corporate office. That's where I sit. Nothing fun ever happens over there. Just the sales team, HR, and finance. And then across the street, we have our technology center. That was opened back in 2022 in September of that year. And that has allowed us to have an interoperability center where we bring in partners like the Mobility House and are able to do controlled testing environments with our partners, third parties. End users can come in and get their hands on our equipment before they ever receive a charger that's placed into the ground. We actually have over a megawatt of charging capabilities at our site, even though we don't have any vehicles that are using that besides, of course, our personal vehicles. So with that, we have the High Bay area. It can bring in full-size buses, just like you see from New Flyer right over there. The last time I was in there, we actually had a New Flyer bus in there doing some charging on our 360 kilowatt charging unit. With that, we also have our classroom environment, so we can train third-party operators or maintenance providers to be able to operate our equipment, maintain our equipment, and just be more comfortable with it. Again, controlled environment, get them all trained up. In our facility in Atlanta, we can actually break our equipment in the High Bay area and have them fix it. Oh, good. And then, of course, we have our R&D team that sits over there as well. So there's about 50 of us all told in the Atlanta area. We've got another 10 or so spread out through the rest of North America, mostly our field service engineers. And most of that team in Atlanta is going to be our hardware and software engineering team. So we're actually dedicated to North America, developing products for North America, in North America, fully UL listed, Buy America compliant, all that good stuff, while also maintaining our global relationship with our head office in the Netherlands. Past the Netherlands and the U.S., we're really focused on most of the European market. You'll see us in the U.K., in Spain. I believe we have a Germany office as well, and then one in Italy, but cover most of Eastern Europe, Western Europe out of those offices. And then, of course, North America, so Canada, U.S., and Mexico are covered from our Atlanta office. Now, getting into the really fun stuff of why we actually want to talk about our products today, what we offer in North America. So again, I mentioned earlier, it's all UL listed, all Buy America compliant. If we have any of our Canadian friends from the north here, we just recently got CSA listing on our entire Flex lineup. So the Flex 180, Flex 360, everything that goes with those units is now CSA listed as well. We are solely a DC fast charging manufacturer. So that means that everything we manufacture is a 480 input, 3-phase power, all the way from the 50 kilowatt unit you see there to the 360 kilowatt unit, which is a little bit too big to get in our booth today, but we do have some flyers that show that one off. So if we want to hand those out, we can do that as well. Most of the charging we do, especially on the lower end of the 50 and the 180, is going to be plug-in style, CCS1, J1772 style. We also offer pantograph systems for both depot and on-route charging with our partnership through Shunk. And with that, you can see over here is a good example of what our charger actually looks like. So this larger unit kind of looks like a refrigerator, as sometimes I call it. It is about a 32-inch by 32-inch square. It's about 7 feet tall, and that is where the power conversion's actually happening. So you feed 480 VAC into that unit, and then you're able to go do up to 3 outlets. That's up to 3 outlets either with the pantographs that we mentioned earlier or with the CCS1 column you see here. And that's going to be very popular for our depot deployment. So our main focus is what we call behind-the-fence charging, and that's just a term we use to determine that this is not supposed to be public-facing. We're not doing any credit card reading or RFID tags, anything of that nature. We are solely catered to the operator-friendly environment. So it's going to be your bus depots, your rail yards, things of that nature that allow for that plug-and-play, as robust as possible, no screens, anything of that nature. So with that, I guess next I want to talk about our dynamic charging. So I mentioned we can do up to 3 of our outlets. So imagine we have 3 of these columns all sitting right here. When a first vehicle plugs in, we're going to be able to deliver a full 180 kilowatts to that first vehicle. As a second vehicle plugs in, we're going to dynamically split that power via the software on the charger. into 120 kilowatts for the first unit, 60 kilowatts for the second unit. You're probably going to guess what happens next when you plug in a third vehicle, but we were able to split that 60, 60, and 60. Again, this is all baked into the software of the charger. This is not a subscription. It is straight from the factory. It just works that way, following first in, first out architecture. And then benefiting from that system, when you overlay a CMS, such as the mobility house, you're able to really unlock all the features there. So you can load shave, peak shave, reduce your demand charges, prioritize certain vehicles. Anything that you can do over OCPP, we are able to do with our partners offering CMS. I am thinking we just open the floor up for any questions at this point. I trying to think if I've missed any highlights. I guess one last thing. We do offer a service level agreement with our units that's going to be able to extend our warranty as well. Essentially, all that really means is we too take the maintenance into our scope and provide that for the end user if they're not comfortable with or do not want to have to maintain the units. We can take care of all that for them. So
It'd be great to just hear about a few projects that we've done together. I guess, yeah, do you have one that you want to talk about? Or I could.
I'm always going to be part of the Knoxville. So
Okay. Yeah, let's do Knoxville then.
Great,
Cool.
great. So Knoxville, Tennessee, my home state. Anybody else is from Tennessee? Go Vols. But anyway, so that's going to be right up the road from Atlanta. It's only about a 3-hour drive for us, so it's not too far for us to go visit and check it out. But they are using our Flex 180 product, 1 to 2, so they're using 2 columns to 1 charger. I believe they're 12 long. So 12 chargers, 24 dispensers, and they are using the mobility house to monitor their charge management. And I will kind of hand the floor over to you to talk to the energy manager.
Yeah, absolutely. So Knoxville Area Transit has been a really great client for us. I would say that for them, during their first deployment of chargers and electric vehicles, they were really interested in understanding the data behind the charging. And so in addition to the smart charging capabilities that I talked about earlier at our booth, we are also providing a lot of data and analytics to all of our customers that use our system. And so at Knoxville Area Transit, they're really interested to know more information about their energy consumption and when their chargers are being used so that they can use that data to make more informed decisions about how to scale up their fleet. And so kind of at that more pilot stage before that larger scale up, I think that it can be really beneficial to look into systems that, you know, are able to provide those data and insights that can help you make those decisions later on. I think one other site that we can highlight here today is Long Beach Transit. So Long Beach Transit, we recently implemented that site back in May of this year. That site I think is really interesting because they are also, I believe, 12 charging cabinets with 2 dispensers each, so also 24 dispensers. But that is the site where we did oversubscribe their chargers. So they only had 1.1 megawatts of grid capacity at their site, and then they had 1.8 megawatts of charging capacity. So similar setup to Knoxville Area Transit, but kind of using more of those smart charging capabilities that, are kind of becoming more of a demand in the space. We will be heading over to Giro next. And Giro is a really interesting partner for us. So earlier in the tour, I talked about ChargePilot's capability to integrate with scheduling software. And so we wanted to include Giro on this tour so that you could learn a little bit more about what they are doing in the electrification space and how they can work with other software systems like ours that, help you with your battery electric bus fleet. And so the Giro booth is just right over here. And I believe we have a couple of people who are supposed to be talking with us today. From Giro, we will have Michael, who is one of the nicest and most knowledgeable people in the industry. He's wonderful. And so he will get to talk a little bit more about, our partnership and what they're doing in the electrification space.
Yep, sounds great. Thank you so much. So how's everyone doing? You enjoying the expo so far? Did you split it up into 2 days? This half yesterday, the next half? So as Data mentioned, I am Michael with Giro. I'm an account manager based in the U.S. I live in Pittsburgh, so that's why my French accent is very suppressed. So we are handling the electric transition for battery electric buses here in the U.S. When it comes to Hastis, we are known worldwide. So it's one product across the world, 300 installations in 29 countries. And what makes that so important is that the electric buses in Europe are light years ahead of where North America is going to be. So we've been providing a zero emissions electric bus solution since 2015. So what does that solution look like? So we handle everything for the circle of life when it comes to transit. So your planning, your scheduling of the vehicles and operators to operating those vehicles and operators. So with the scheduling, what we see with our tools is we are able to maximize the range of the electric vehicle by optimizing the charging activities. So in the vehicle schedule, we will understand from the agency, are you doing a long-term charge for the vehicles? Are you doing a short-term charge? If you're doing short-term, where are those charging stations in the network? So we can optimize the vehicle to understand where to go, when to charge, how long to charge. So you have a potential longer range for an electric bus as you would as a biodiesel vehicle. On the day-to-day operations, we take it another step further where we will understand the battery consumption that is needed for the battery electric bus for the particular trip, a piece of work. If the dispatchers are running low on the workforce, they can cut that trip. And again, that state of charge requirements through integration, we are able to visualize that and understand that. When it comes to yard management and where we integrate with, our partners, when it comes to charge management systems and state of charge, with our yard management tool Yard Assistant, we can again visualize as we're assigning the vehicle that this vehicle is at this state of charge. It's going to reach this level of state of charge after its first assignment. It comes back to the division and we put in a charging activity. So when it comes to the charge management system, we are integrating with them to understand which charging port is online. Is the vehicle fully plugged in? What's the status of that charging? Is there an error? And we provide these various warnings and visual cues to the employees to go check on that bus. And again, with our optimization, when the vehicle is coming back, we understand the state of charge, where it needs to charge, and how long it needs to charge. So that is quickly a up and down 20-time elevator pitch for our solution when it comes to electric vehicles.
Yeah, and I guess that's another great point on industry open standards. I think one of the things that we have seen with our partnership with Giro is that both of our companies are really committed to having those industry open standards kind of be our guiding force to allow our clients the flexibility to choose, the software system as well as the hardware systems that work the best for their vehicles. So it's been an absolute pleasure working with the Giro team. We have been collaborating on the development of VITA V463 for over a year. I believe final testing is actually scheduled for next week on some of the expert capabilities, which is very exciting. And yeah, as Michael mentioned, that is a type of integration that can be used across multiple different software types of, capabilities, multiple providers, and really gives you the flexibility to figure out which components in the software ecosystem work well for you and your system.
I hold you hostage before we have some snacks. Also with our optimization, we've been helping clients understand the size of the electric fleet that they need. So for example, and we'll remain a little bit anonymous here, they worked with a consultant firm and the consultant firm said that they're going to need 4 times the size of electric vehicles per their biodiesel fleet to manage their service. So we took their service, we have their schedule information, their vehicle information, and we ran it through our optimizer. And we showed that instead of a 400% increase, they would only need about 10% increase in their vehicles because of the optimization of the charging throughout the vehicle schedule day to day. So again, optimization is very optimal. Did you hear that yet today? No? So that's something too that we're very proud of. And we are the leaders when it comes to optimization for planning, scheduling, and operating software in the transit industry. So yeah.
Yeah, so with that, Giro has been extremely kind, and they actually have some refreshments ready to go for you guys. And then this is also the end of the tour.